Prime Minister Yacenyuk, thank you very much for joining us today. How can you conduct a serious investigation into the crash if you don't have access to the crash site?
First, we launched an international investigation, and we ask all respective governments to send their agencies, to send their representatives to support us in getting all evidences of this despicable international crime. Today in the morning, we were not allowed to access the crash site. So, all these Russian-led guerrillas and terrorists, they just encircled the crash site, and it took us a few hours together with the OSCE mission to get an access.
You did get access?
Yeah, it happened just a few hours ago. But in any case, we need to provide an access to all international agencies and all international responsible persons. Together with the security forces, we provided a safe corridor. And we will do everything what's needed in order to investigate this international crime and to unfold to the international community all evidences related to this international crime.
There's been a lot of confusion about the location of the black boxes. Where are they?
There were a number of rumors, and those who are just right now on the ground, they try to find out whether these black boxes are on the crash site or they were moved to Russia. Because these Russian-led separatists, they made a statement today in the morning that they decided to move the black boxes to Russia, which is entirely the violation of international rules, standards, and international law. So we do believe that all these black boxes are still at the crash site.
How sure are you that everyone is going to be convinced by the evidence that you've been gathering that it was pro-Russian rebels that brought down this plane with help from Russia?
We are to talk only about the real things and evidences. They shot down the plane in the area that is and was entirely controlled by the Russian-led guerrillas. The second issue is that the missile system, land to air, if I'm not mistaken, that's the way they name it, is Russian-made. The particular name of this system is Buk.
Sure. But Ukraine has this same missile system, which it would have inherited from the Soviet Union.
And we disclosed and unfolded and ready to present it to the international investigators and to the international community the location of every single Ukrainian missile system. There was no Ukrainian missile system in this area, and we never used it during the counter-terrorist operation. The third issue is that today the US already confirmed that this plane was shot down by the missile. And together with the international community, we need to define the right and the precise location. The fifth issue, probably Russians, they don't know that there is an internet in the world, but a lot of footage is already in the internet. Pictures and video of this missile system moving in Russian-led terrorists' areas in the morning, and then in a few hours moving back to Russia. We need to confirm everything. But a lot of evidences are on the table.
And you think that, you said you have sort of fair passage to the site, that there is going to be access to the site. The rebels in this area are happy for American investigators to come and start looking at the site. Anyone can come and look at the site that you want to come?
We will do everything to provide an access to all international respective governments.
Do you think that this tragedy, when we look back in time, will be seen as a turning point in your war?
This is not our war, and this is the huge difference. We were very clear saying that, look what's happening in the world. A nuclear state, G8 member, a permanent member of the UN Security Council, constantly violating an international law. It was Russia who annexed Crimea. It was Russia who sent their troops to Crimea. It was Russia who grabbed the land of an independent country. It is Russia who still supply weapons to these Russian-led terrorists. It is Russia who financed them.
But let me ask you it this way. Do you think that this will be a turning point in this conflict?
Let me end. This is not the war between just Ukraine and Russia. This is the crime against humanity. And we are all to realize that we need to stop this mess. Because look, first of all, I want to convey my deep condolences to the families who lost their beloved. So after today's tragedy, this is not the local conflict. This is a worldwide problem that needs to be fixed and resolved.
What do you think about the idea of a ceasefire?
We already had it 15 days ago, and it wasn't successful. Ukrainian military stopped firing, and rebels shoot it every day, every time, and every minute. What needs to be done? Russia must withdraw their agents. Russia must stop to supply lethal weapon. Russia must stop financial support of these rebels. Russian president is to condemn these terrorists. Together with the Ukrainian and Russian forces, we are to restore the control over the Ukrainian-Russian border and ready to invite anyone from the international community. So first we need to de-escalate the situation and to make the real steps.
Is it fair to say, what you're saying here, is it fair to say that you think maybe now is actually the time to take the fight to the separatists? Not a ceasefire, but go on the offensive.
It is fair to say that now it's high time for Russia to stop to support terrorists. And if they stop the support, an implication of this will be very simple but effective one. They will stop shooting. Because they won't have shells, bullets, tanks, and missile systems.
Would it make sense at some point maybe to use the military to take control of the crash site?
That's what we try to do. But this area is under the full control of Russian-led terrorists.
So you could try and take it back?
The only chance to try to take it back is to go offensive and to start shooting. And Russians will definitely accuse, saying, look at these bloody Ukrainians. We want to have an investigation, but they don't allow us to enter this area. So from the military point of view, it's not doable. But if Russians command to their guerrillas to leave this area, we can do it very quickly and secure the area.
What do you think about the sanctions that the European Union and the US have introduced?
All Russian attempts to split the unity between the US and the EU failed. And we commend the decision of the United States President to scale up sanctions. We do appreciate the unity among the EU member states. This is the right response.
You're happy with the sanctions as they are?
I am not happy with the situation. but we do understand that this could press on Russia, and this can urge Russia to sit back to negotiating table in Geneva format and to stop to support these terrorists.
You think that the sanctions we have thus far might be enough?
I think that we will move forward together with our American and European partners.
And given where we are now with the plane, does it make sense to have more sanctions against Russia?
First, we need to collect all evidences. Second, if President Putin will not stop these terrorists, and if he will further support them, it's crystal clear that the world needs more sanctions against Russia.
Iran-style sanctions.
Probably even more.
Today you've been talking about the prospect of a complete halt to trade ties with Russia. Is that something that Ukraine is considering initiating?
No, that's something that was stated by the Russian Federation and by the Russian government. They decided to retaliate for the Ukrainian decision to sign a deep and comprehensive free trade area with the European Union. We started the technical consultations in the trilateral format, the EU, Ukraine and Russia, over whether any kind of threats to the Russian economy due to the fact that Ukraine signed a free trade area with the European Union. Last week we had this round, the first round of consultations. And the idea we want to unfold everything. We want to have these consultations in a very transparent manner. Because there is no grounds for blaming Ukraine or EU for the negative economic implications for the Russian Federation.
But are you concerned that, there was already a lot of bad blood between the Kremlin and your government? Now we have this incident with the plane. Are you concerned things are going to get much worse and that we could see a suspension of trade ties? Things aren't getting better, are they, in the relationship?
They're getting worse. And frankly speaking, we don't have any kind of real relationship. We have the war. This is the truth.
And so
a new type of war.
And so if you're at war, the idea of trade ties is kind of strange.
That's true. But the idea of supporting Ukrainian economy, we need to survive.
How much do you think a halt to trade ties with Russia could mean to your economy?
Minus $5 billion per year.
And what's that in terms of economic growth?
Well, it will severely hamper Ukrainian GDP growth. Additionally, minus up to 2%.
And you think that there's a real possibility this could happen?
Very high possibility.
That the Ukrainian government itself might initiate?
No, look.
No. Yeah.
Let me explain once more.
Yeah.
It was Russia who decided to retaliate as Ukraine signed DCFTA with the European Union. So they want to eliminate the state of Ukraine with all tools and means. They wage the war, they supply terrorists, they supply lethal weapons, they cut off the gas supply, they want to block our stop our bilateral trade. So the ultimate goal of Russia is just not to have Ukraine on the map.
The IMF has said that you may need more money because of the conflict in the East. How much is this war costing you?
Billions of dollars. Our preliminary assessment that we need additionally up to $1 billion for the defensive operation until the end of this year.
$1 billion for the rest of 2014 alone.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the economic consequences, the costs of all of this?
Revenues from the East drop substantially, but we still pay all salaries and wages, and we still pay all entitlement programs to those who live in the East, because we cannot abandon these people.
So give me a sense of how much money this might be.
Look, we still are in the program with the IMF, and we agreed a new austerity package, and we agreed a reform agenda and reform plan pre-agreed. So we strongly believe and we expect that the IMF is further to support Ukraine.
They're prepared to provide this new money because of the conflict?
It's not about the new money. This is within the same loan deal.
Within the same 17 billion. And the last question I have is simply on energy, because it's what everyone was discussing just a few weeks ago. I guess the idea of an energy deal between Ukraine and Russia is something we can pretty much kiss goodbye now, no?
We brought them to court, they brought us to court. A few weeks ago we had talks with the CEO of Russian Gazprom, together with the EU Commissioner Oettinger. And we offered to Russia a market-based approach, together with the European Commission, saying that, look, in a low season, the price for the gas is $300. In a high season, it's $385. The average price of $340 is very lucrative for Russian Gazprom and entirely market-based. But Russians refuse to accept this deal. Because, you know, it's all about politics but not economy. So they use gas as another weapon against Ukraine.
And today the prospect of a deal looks that much less likely, given...
Prospects are very vague, but we have an action plan how to survive.
Without Russian gas?
Well, it's very difficult. We still need to buy up to 7 billion cubic meters of Russian natural gas. So we facilitated this reverse flow from Europe.
Sure.
Well, it's quite supportive for us on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's not enough.
All right. Mr. Yaценюk.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.